Unit 4, Money Supply. Definition of money. According to Crowther, money can be anything that is generally acceptable as a means of exchange. So as we know students, because of the drawbacks of the barter system, money was introduced and now money acts as an effective medium of exchange. So according to the definition given by Crowther, money can be anything, but it should be acceptable by the society so that it can fulfill the function of means of exchange or medium of exchange, and that at the same time acts as a measure of value. So as we know students, money acts as an effective measuring tool which allows all the goods and services to be priced and valued in terms of money, thus allowing people to compare different prices and see the relative value of different goods and services. Further, at the same time, money acts as a store of value. This means that money has a storing power. Money can be stored or it can be held over a period of time and can be used to finance future payments. Also, whenever people save money, they get satisfaction and they get assurance that the money that is saved will have value in future whenever they want to spend it. So this is the definition of money given by Crowther. Another definition of money is given by Walker. According to Walker, money is what money does. This means that the term money can be used to include anything which performs the functions of money. As we all know, four important functions of money are that money acts as a medium of exchange, as a measure of value, as a store of value, and as a standard of deferred payments. Hence, money's general acceptability, that is, its fundamental characteristic of money, is that anything which is generally accepted by the people in exchange of goods and services is called as money. Meaning of money supply. Money supply refers to the stock of money held by people in disposable form. Disposable form means the total amount of money available with an individual to spend or to save after paying taxes is over. Also in the meaning, when we say people, people includes anybody except central bank or commercial banks. This is because we do not include central banks and commercial banks under people. This is because they are considered to be money creating agencies. Another meaning of money supply is that money supply means the amount of money which is in circulation in an economy at any given point of time. Money supply as a stock and as a flow variable. Money supply is a stock as well as a flow concept. Let us first understand stock concept. When money supply is viewed or it is considered at a point of time, it becomes a stock concept. That means stock of money held by the public on a particular date. Second is flow concept. When money supply is viewed over a period of time, it becomes a flow concept. This means a unit of money is spendable as well as respendable. It may be spent several times during a given period, as well as it can be passed on from one person to another person, thus making it as a flow concept. formula of money supply given by Fisher. The flow of money is measured by multiplying a given stock of money held by the public with the velocity of circulation of money. Thus, according to Fisher, the flow of money supply over a period of time is M multiplied by V, that is MV. M stands for stock of money held by the public, that is money stock, and V stands for velocity of circulation. The velocity of circulation of money means average number of times a unit of money is circulated from one person to another person during a given year. Let us understand which are the constituents or components of money supply. Constituents or components of money supply. There are different views of monetary analysts regarding the composition of money supply. Now these views can be classified into two categories. The very first one is traditional measure or traditional approach, popularly known as narrow money. And the second category is modern measure or modern approach, popularly known as broad money. Now under traditional approach, that is narrow money, it further includes currency, that is coins and notes, and demand deposits. Under the second category of broad money, it further includes currency, that is coins and notes, demand deposits. Both can be categorized and it can be represented as M1. Further, broad money also includes saving deposits in post office, represented as A, time deposits represented as B, government securities represented as C, and lastly credit, which is represented as D. Let us understand about each of this in much detail. Let's understand the first constituent of money supply, that is traditional measure or traditional approach, popularly called as narrow money. The formula to measure narrow money is M1 is equal to C plus DD. So here M1 stands for, C stands for currency, that is coins and notes, and DD stands for checkable demand deposits with the banks. So hence money supply is composed of currency and demand deposits. Let's understand first about the currency money, that is represented by C. The currency money consists of coins and currency notes. As we all are aware, the backbone of our currency system is the central bank. So the central bank, that is RBI, has the monopoly or the power of issuing note. In India, 1 rupee note is issued and managed by Government of India, while the rest of the notes are issued and managed by RBI. The next is demand deposits, also called as bank money. The demand deposits of commercial banks are checkable demand deposits. Why? That is because they are transferable by checks in the settlement of loans. The second component of money supply is modern approach, that is modern measure, popularly known as broad money. So according to the modern approach, money supply should include money as well as near money. So the items included in this list is M1, that we already know. M1 stands for narrow money, that includes currency, that is currency notes and coins, as well as bank money or called as demand deposit. Further, A is represented as saving deposits. So saving deposits do have restriction on the amount and the number of withdrawals. So in India, saving deposits are in the form of post office saving bank deposits. B is represented by time deposits. So time deposits with the banks which can be withdrawn with the prior notice. C is represented by government securities, bonds or any other financial assets. And D is represented as credit. Thus we have the modern measure or modern approach, that is broad money formula, that is M2 is equal to M1 plus A plus B plus C plus D. Under modern approach or broad money, we have views given by Milton Friedman. So according to Milton Friedman, money includes all those things which are perfect substitutes of one another. This means that money supply includes time deposit, that is fixed deposits with the commercial banks along with currency and demand deposits. Further, time deposit acts like a money because the depositor gets the money back in future and also earns fixed rate of interest on it. The depositor can also take a loan against such type of deposit. Another view is given by Radcliffe, that is Radcliffe approach. So the Radcliffe approach is based on completely new line of thinking and includes a much wider concept of money supply. This involves all the funds lent by financial institutions should be included in the total money supply. Determinants of money supply. The first determinant of money supply is high-powered money. So let us begin with considering that the money supply available at the starting point is M. So M is money supply available at the starting point. So hence we have the formula M is equal to C plus D. So here M stands for money, C stands for currency and D stands for bank deposits which are held and created by commercial banks. Out of the total money M, some portion of it is held as currency C by the public, while the rest of it is held as reserves, that is represented by R by the banks. And thus we have high powered money which is represented as H. So the formula for high powered money is H is equal to C plus R. So here C stands for currency and R stands for reserve. Both C and R are created by monetary authority, that is RBI, and it is not by the banks. So the difference between the first formula and the formula for high powered money is the last component here, that is D and R. So here D stands for bank deposits which is held and created by commercial banks, while here R is reserves that is created by RBI and not commercial banks. So hence the capacity of the banks to create credit or deposits, that is represented by D, depends on the R, that is cash reserves of the banks. The next determinant of money supply is community's choice. Community's choices means people's choices. So the amounts of cash and demand deposits which people wish or which community wishes to hold or people wish to hold also determines the money supply. So if people choose to make payments by cash, then money supply will be less. Whereas if the people choose to make payments by check rather than cash, then the money supply will be higher. This is because banks can create more money with given deposits. So in case of developed countries, people prefer to make payments by check and therefore money supply is more. On the other hand, in case of developing countries, people prefer to make payments by cash rather than check. Hence, money supply is less. However, community's choice or people's choice is not constant. It is determined by few other factors as well, such as banking habits, availability of banking services, level of income, inflation, and much more. The third determinant of money supply is extent of monetization. Monetization means the use of money in the exchange of goods and services. In an economy where there is high monetization, people would demand more money. Hence, there is a pressure on the government to create more supply of money so as to fulfill the growing needs of the economy. So, in those areas of the country, if there is a barter economy is followed, then money supply cannot be increased rapidly. On the other hand, a fully monetized economy requires more money supply than the barter economy. So thus the demand for money also rises with the growth of monetization. Therefore, the expansion of money supply takes place with the expansion of monetization in the economy. Fourth determinant of money supply is cash reserve ratio, CRR. CRR refers to the ratio of a bank's cash holdings to its total deposit liabilities. So in simple words, CRR means percentage of bank deposits which commercial banks are required to keep with RBI in the form of reserves. So this percentage or this ratio is fixed by the central bank. When commercial banks use the surplus funds to grant credit, the money supply expands. The process of credit creation by banks depends on the CRR, that is cash reserve ratio. Therefore, it is important to note that higher the CRR, lower is the money supply. This means that if RBI increases the CRR, less funds will be available with the commercial banks for lending purposes, thus resulting in lower money supply. On the other hand, if RBI lowers the CRR, higher money supply will be created. Thus, it means that if RBI reduces the CRR, more funds will be available with the commercial banks for lending purposes. The fifth determinant of money supply is velocity of circulation of money. The velocity of circulation of money also affects the supply of money. So if the velocity of circulation of money increases, the money supply would also increase. On the other hand, if the velocity of circulation of money decreases, the money supply would also decrease. The sixth determinant of money supply is liquidity preference. The liquidity preference of the people also plays an important factor which determines the supply of money. So liquidity preference means people's desire to hold money or cash balances. Hence, higher the liquidity preference, lower will be the supply of money, and lower the liquidity preference, higher will be the supply of money. The seventh determinant of money supply is fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is the government policy related to taxation, public expenditure, public borrowing, deficit financing, and much more. This fiscal policy affects the supply of money in an economy. So let us consider few factors. The very first factor is taxation. The collection of taxes by government reduces the money supply with the people. Hence, higher rate of tax would reduce the money supply. However, a lower rate of tax or tax exemptions would increase the supply of money in the economy. The second factor is public expenditure. An increase in government expenditure may increase the income of the people. For example, if the government decides to construct a new bridge, for constructing new bridge, it would require to hire many laborers. Hiring laborers means the government would have to provide income to those people. Thus, in providing income would result in higher increase of money supply in the economy and vice versa. That means if the government does not engage in any kind of governmental expenditure or spending, then people would not get more income and this would reduce its supply of money in the economy. Next factor is public borrowing. When public expenditure is more than public revenue, the fiscal gap has to be filled up through public borrowings. So when government borrows from the public, it reduces the supply of money with the public. On the other hand, when government spends such borrowed money, then there would result in increase in supply of money in the economy. Next factor is deficit financing. When government spends more money than it receives in the form of revenue, the difference is made up either by borrowing or by printing new currency notes. This practice is called as deficit financing. Deficit financing always leads to an increase in the supply of money in the economy. The eighth determinant of money supply is monetary policy. Monetary policy is the policy which is adopted by the monetary authority of a nation. So it is the policy of the central bank. Monetary policy also affects money supply in an economy. The central bank adopts both quantitative as well as qualitative measures to control money supply. If the central bank adopts cheap money policy, the money supply will increase in the economy. Cheap money policy refers to the policy by the central bank where the central bank lowers the interest rate. This is done so that credit is easily available to the general public so as to bring efficiency in the economy. Thus, this would increase the supply of money. On the other hand, if the central bank adopts a dear money policy, money supply will reduce in an economy. Dear money policy is the policy adopted by the government which makes it expensive for the people to borrow money. This policy is used as a way of reducing the amount of money that will be spent in the country. So thus, adopting dear monetary policy would reduce the supply of money in the economy. The ninth determinant of money supply is money multiplier. Money multiplier has a positive effect on the money supply. A rise in the size of money multiplier will increase the supply of money. On the other hand, a fall in the size of money multiplier will reduce the supply of money in the economy. And the last determinant of money supply is other factors. So the money supply is also affected by a number of other factors. This includes interest rate, changes in business activity, political atmosphere, and so on. Next subtopic is velocity of circulation of money. Meaning of velocity of circulation of money. Velocity of circulation of money is the supply of money over a period of time, that is a year. Another meaning is the average number of times money circulates from one hand to another, that is from one person to another, is called as velocity of circulation of money. The supply of money during a given period is the total amount of money in circulation multiplied by the average number of times it has circulated from one person to another person during the same given period. So thus the formula for velocity of circulation of money is money supply, that is total money supply, is equal to M multiplied by V. So here M stands for total amount of money in circulation and V stands for velocity of circulation of money. Students, it is important to note that if velocity of circulation of money increases, then money supply also increases. And on the other hand, if velocity of circulation of money decreases, then money supply also decreases. Factors influencing or affecting the velocity of circulation of money. The first factor influencing the velocity of circulation of money is time interval of income receipts. The time interval of receiving income can be per day, per week, per month, or so on. So the more the frequently income is received by an individual, the higher will be the velocity of circulation of money. For example, if a person receives daily wages, then the velocity of circulation of money will be high for that person. On the other hand, if the income received by a person is on a monthly basis as compared to daily basis, then the velocity of circulation of money will be lower. The second factor that affects the velocity of circulation of money is method and habits of payment. For example, if I have purchased a new car and if I want to repay back the amount that I have purchased for buying the car in the form of installments, then my habit of payment would affect the velocity of circulation of money in the economy. So for example, if I make installments, if I repay installments on a monthly basis, then the velocity of circulation of money will be high. On the other hand, if I in the form of lump sum payments, like for example, after every 3 months, then the velocity of circulation of money would fall. The third factor is regularity of income receipts. This means the degree of regularity of income received also affects the velocity of money. For example, if a salaried income person is getting his income at regular intervals, like for example monthly, on the monthly basis, then he will likely to spend more. Why? Because he is sure that after the month ends, he is going to get another income next month. So because of this, he will tend to spend more and thus the velocity of circulation of money will be high. On the other hand, under conditions of irregularity of income received or uncertainty of income received, now this takes place in the case of daily wage earners. For example, people working in construction or as a form of laborer. So in that case, such people have a tendency to keep more cash in the form of saving, and as a result of this they do not spend much, and thus the velocity of circulation of money will be lower. The fourth factor influencing velocity of circulation of money is distribution of national income. The velocity of circulation differs between the wealthy people in the society and poor people in the society. In the case of rich people, the velocity of circulation of money will be lower. This is because rich people always tend to hold their cash balances. They always like to save and they like to invest in variety of different modes rather than spending. Hence, velocity of circulation of money is lower in case of rich people. On the other hand, in the case of poor people, the velocity of circulation of money is higher. This is because poor people always spend their money as soon as they receive it. This is because they are living on hand-to-mouth situation and also because they are having small cash holdings. Therefore, in case of poor people, the velocity of circulation of money is higher. The fifth factor affecting the velocity of circulation of money is the business conditions. In case of prosperous and flourishing business situation, the transactions will be more and naturally the velocity of circulation of money will be higher. On the other hand, in a slack season of business, for example today due to COVID, the velocity of circulation of money is lower and thus all businesses are affected. The sixth factor influencing velocity of circulation of money is development of banking and financial system. The development of banking and financial system in our economy greatly affects the velocity of circulation of money, especially in the developed countries. So in the developed nations, the velocity of circulation of money is high. This is because of well-developed financial and banking institutions. On the other hand, in backward societies, the financial and banking institutions are not very well developed and hence the velocity of circulation of money is likely to be lower than as compared to advanced nations. This is because in backward societies, there are no facilities for investment and therefore people have a habit of saving money in their homes. So thus this leads to a fall in velocity of circulation of money in the society. The seventh factor is changes in price level. If the people feel that the prices are going to rise in the near future, then the velocity of circulation of money in the economy will be high. This is because people will begin to start purchasing immediately. On the other hand, if the people feel that the prices are going to fall in the near future, then the velocity of circulation of money will be low. This is because people will then reduce their purchases and they will postpone their consumption. For example, during inflation, the velocity of circulation increases, while during deflation, the velocity of circulation of money falls. Next factor is speed in transportation of money. The speed in transportation of money also determines the velocity of circulation of money. So, if there is more and rapid transportation of cash as well as checks due to quick and easy facilities provided by banks, then of course the velocity of circulation of money will be high. On the other hand, in retail trading, it is observed generally that coins of small denominations is circulated speedily and thus it is high. On the other hand, in wholesale trading, it is observed that notes of large denominations will be more in circulation. In the rural sector, where banking facilities are not adequately available, therefore the cash velocity will be very high because people tend to keep money with themselves. So thus it is observed that the velocity of circulation of money tends to be different depending upon the situations. Hence it is different under different situations. The next factor is liquidity preference function. The liquidity preference of the people also plays an important factor in determining the velocity of circulation of money. The liquidity preference of the people means their liquidity motives to hold money in the form of cash rather than to spend them. The higher the liquidity preference, the greater will be the tendency of people to hold cash in idle form. This reduces the velocity of circulation of money in the economy and vice versa. The last factor is people's choice. The velocity of money is also likely to be affected depending upon people's choice, that is, regarding their savings and consumption. So when people save more, the velocity of circulation will be low. But if they spend most of their incomes, then the velocity of circulation of money will be high.